got this weird like sunbeam. It's reflecting off the floor, coming through the window, reflecting off the floor, and then getting me right here. Yeah, and I literally just sat down to start recording this, and didn't really plan all this stuff out ahead of time. But actually running a little late today. It was a little off my schedule because I didn't have to take the kids into school today, which is kind of cool. They have on their Wednesday schedule right now. They have like they're distance learning from home, and then the rest of the week they do a little bit of work in the morning, schoolwork in the morning. We drop them off, pick them up, that sort of thing, which has been really nice for them. They've enjoyed having that back to school time, but then the Wednesday schedule has been kind of nice because it breaks their routine up a little bit, and they've been they like not having to rush, and we still make them get dressed, but not having to rush in the mornings and get everything all together and get out the door and get barked at for sitting there and not getting dressed. Like yesterday, my son, we're all ready to go, and then I come out, he's sitting on the couch next to his pile of clothes, still in the dirty clothes that he slept in, that he spilled all his dinner on the day before. And he's just been moping on the couch the whole time. And here the rest of us are ready to go out the door to drop him off to school. And so he got barked at a little bit, but he's 5, so that happens. Yeah, and then this morning, so since I was all thrown off my routine, I kind of stayed in bed and was looking at the daily stuff on my phone. Just going through. You have your routine of your apps that you wake up and you kind of just scroll through. It's kind of the this generation's version of I'm gonna move this a little bit. Okay, yeah, that's not so bad. Yeah, kind of. Hold on. Let me block some of this light. It's bothering me. Let's see if that's. I just moved a chair with a pillow. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot better. And sorry if you guys can hear some schooling happening in the background. That's the distance learning. Normally the kids wouldn't be here, but it's their Wednesday schedule, so. Yeah, if you might learn a little bit of kindergarten in the background there. So anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, I got up a little late this morning. Kind of laid in bed a little longer than I normally do. And then I was like, oh, okay, I need to take a shower. So I hopped in the shower, and then by the time I got out, it was already 8:45, and I was like, ooh, I'm a little late for my my stream. But that's okay. I know you guys. I know you guys don't mind that much, so we'll keep it a little bit short today. But what I wanted to talk about, and what I titled this stream was "No Failure, Only Forward." And this is some, I guess it's like teacher advice, but it's also parent advice and student advice. It's just general advice today. There's. I'm looking at my kitchen right now, and I'm not going to tell my wife that I'm doing this, but this is what our kitchen looks like. Now, yesterday I turned the camera over, and there was definitely not this much mess on the counters. And it's all, if you can't see what that is, that's all dishes and stuff, just sitting out on the counters. We don't have a huge kitchen, so the countertops, they fill up with dishes pretty quickly. So yesterday we did the dishes, cleaned all the, filled up as much of the dishwasher as we could, and ran it. And then the plan was, sometime after dinner, I was going to have my son help me unload the dishwasher, that's one of our chores, one of our tasks that we do together. And for various reasons, I blame myself. I forgot, I forgot to unload the dishwasher, which means that all of the dishes for the evening, for dinner and that sort of stuff, stayed out on the counter. which in our household that happens. I know some households that's a no go, but it's everybody's different. And so all those dishes stayed out overnight, and the place looks like a mess. And depending on your outlook, hey Luis, what's up? Depending on your outlook, that can be really stressful for some people. Things, chores, dishes, laundry piling up, for students, homework piling up. When that stuff starts to pile up, then that creates stress because, even if we're trying not to think about it, we are thinking about it, assuming that, you're the kind of mentality where, you actually do care about your surroundings, which most of us do. I like to think that most of us do anyway. We do care about our surroundings. We care about making progress, feeling that we are contributing something in our world or our personal space or our family or whatever it is. Now, whether we actually act on those feelings, that's that procrastinator curse. You don't do the things you're supposed to. You still stress about it, but for whatever reason, you're not doing those things. But it's kind of a curse of parents, and especially moms. I will give credit where credit's due, especially moms, also dads, but especially moms. There's a lot of guilt that associates with chores piling up. And especially when you have young kids, just kids in general, because kids are messy. If you're a kid and you're watching this, kids are messy. Kids are messy. That's just how it is. Especially when you have young kids or any kids in the house, messes just naturally accumulate. Messes happen. We just spent all afternoon yesterday having the kids. My son cleaned up the front living room, had to clean up all his Legos. He has a little learning space that he had to organize and tidy up. And there was like a little, some toys all over the place. My daughter had to clean their room. They share a room right now. She had to clean the whole room. And so they were spending, the kids take a while to do simple tasks, but they spent a few hours after school, a good part of their afternoon, just cleaning up a mess, which, it has taken them a couple of weeks to create. But they spent that time cleaning it up, and then they did their homework. And my wife does the laundry. I typically do the dishes. There's that division of chores, but in all of our circles, all of our responsibilities, things will accumulate, and that's kind of the natural state of things. Especially when you have two parents who both work. It's a little bit different story when you have one parent staying at home and like their primary job, their career is, keeping the house, homemaking, keeping the house tidy. Which is, if you are that person or that person, that's a full-time job. Homemaking is a full-time job. You can certainly spend 8 hours a day or more keeping a house in working order. Absolutely, Luis, it is very stressful. It can be stressful. But speaking to that stress, especially when you have little kids at home, okay, you have more than two people at home. Your parents, you are parents. If you are a parent, or if you have little siblings at home, and especially if you live in a smaller house, those messes tend to accumulate. And even if you're constantly doing those chores, okay, my wife is always doing. She does laundry every day, and occasionally we come in and help her fold laundry and stuff. I'm doing dishes every day, and yet, unless we're doing dishes constantly, every once in a while, actually not even every once in a while, more often than not, we will have a counter full of dishes, just that because we're busy doing other things. We're busy chasing the kids around. I'm busy working. We're busy, working on side hustles, hobbies, things like that. Chores will accumulate until you can get to them. So it's really important to keep that in mind, and especially, I can't stress this enough, especially when you have little kids, messes will happen. Your house will be messy. I mean, unless you've got a housekeeper you can hire to follow your kids around 24/7 and pick up after themselves, unless you are a homemaker and that is your primary focus is keeping the house tidy. If you're working a full-time job and your kids are going to school full-time, you got 8 hours school and work, 8 hours of sleep, and 8 hours for everything else, right? That's kind of the general breakdown for the majority of people. And how much time realistically are you going to spend picking up after every single mess? Yeah, Louise, there's always a toy on the floor. Is even after my son finished cleaning up his Legos, okay, the second he was done cleaning up all his space, and we're like, okay, you've cleaned everything, satisfactory, everything's great. What does he do? He goes and takes his Legos out again and starts playing with them. And he had to clean up his Legos again by the end of the night before he went to bed. There's always going to be a mess. Now, yes, it does mean that you do have to constantly, clean stuff up. That's just how chores go. Having that routine where you let a mess accumulate, but then you come in and clean it all up. Or maybe you just kind of clean as you go. But with little kids, that doesn't really work all that well. The clean as you go thing, it's kind of a hard sell for the kids. What are they going to do? Take a toy out and then play with it for a second and then put that back? I mean, you could tell them to do that, but good luck. But also trying not to stress about messes piling up, especially when you have little kids, because the messes are going to be there. They're always going to be there. You're always going to be cleaning them up. But it's more of like a mental paradigm shift. If you're shifting the way that you're thinking about things, rather than, oh, my house is always a mess. I have to clean up everything. I have to tidy this up. I have to do all this stuff. It's just constantly messy and I know it stresses my wife out more than me. But shifting your focus, shifting your paradigm, your mental state to, okay, yes, here's a mess. I'm going to get to it on this schedule at this time. We're going to clean up all this area of the house. And then, tomorrow we're going to tackle this piece, breaking things into bite-sized chunks. That way you're always moving forward. You're not feeling like you're failing, not feeling like you're falling behind, because you're always making that progress. And that's why, I know I've plugged this before, but that's why I always make a list of things. Or I've really started doing that because at the end of the day, that lets me look at, okay, how many items have I crossed off? This is all the important stuff that I've accomplished today. And, all of these items on here are important items. So by crossing that, and even if I don't get to everything, this is my yesterday list. And I didn't get to everything on here, but I got to a lot of the big things that had been bothering me. And so, everything that I didn't get to goes on today's list. And it keeps me honest to myself, so that when I start getting into the feelings like, oh man, I'm worthless. I can't do anything. I haven't accomplished anything today. Well, that's not true. I may not have done everything that was on my list, but I did some really big ticket items, got those taken care of, and I have made some progress. So I don't feel like a failure. I don't feel like I'm falling behind. I feel like I'm making progress. Sure, there's lots of work left to do, but at least I can feel good about what I have done. And that's just as important as, honestly, it doesn't matter who you are, how old you are. If you're a student, a teacher, a parent, that feeling like you're making progress, and not trying to compare your progress to your peers, to everybody else around you. That's vital for keeping your mental state in that positive zone. Because when your mental state stays positive, stays forward, then you can continue to make that forward progress. When you start getting into your feelings like, I'm worthless, I'm not making progress, I'm not doing anything with my life, I'm not doing anything valuable with my time, that's when you start getting in those doldrums and that negative feedback loop, like, oh, I can't do anything. Well, then you stop doing things. and then you're not making progress, and then you are, you're not continuing to move forward. But yeah, that is what I wanted to talk about today. It's just, I know it's kind of a top of my mind sort of thing. I come out here and it's like, oh yeah, I was supposed to do the dishes last night. We were supposed to do the dishes last night. Well, guess what? We can do the dishes today. So on my schedule, I have it on here on my list. It's right there somewhere in the middle. I'm going to have my first period class today. I think it's first period today. We have a weird week. So I'll have my first period class today. I'll have a prep in between. My third period is prep. So I'll have some time to work on the dishes. If my son's not doing anything, I'll have him help me. So we'll get that checked off. The kitchen will be clean, and no doubt it'll be dirty again by this evening. But we'll just keep doing it, keep doing that chore, keep moving forward, and making progress. So, all right, guys, you all have a good day, and keep moving forward and keep making progress. I'll talk to you later.